Place and space are connected, but time determines how they exist. This is a true story of a migrant from South India who created a sense of place for hundreds of South African Indians in and towards the end of the apartheid regime, right in the heart of Johannesburg. From space to place and back to space. This space has a special place in my heart for various reasons. The property and building belong to my family. It is located in Newtown, and it was purchased in 1922 and construction began in 1935. Later in the 1950s, when Indians were forcibly removed as a result of the Group Areas Act, this space really became a place. The uncertainty and instability in the apartheid government, as well as a disregard for inferior races, really united the people living in the buildings. The Indian community living in the buildings became bounded and connected. The space was a concentration of like minded individuals. Many secret ANC meetings had taken place here. Mandela has recognized this space for its contribution to the fall of the apartheid regime. The site is divided up into three parts. One building containing 25 flats, which was initially built to be offices, but by the time construction was completed, there was a greater need for housing. The second building containing 60 flats, and the remainder of the site is parking and open space. I lived in these buildings up until the age of 7. I obviously missed out on all of the history and politics which shaped the place, but it is important to remember that we are shaped as kids by our context. So politics and history have really played a big role in who I am. Putting history aside, for me, why the space is special to me is because of its mixed-use nature. I lived in a flat in the building. Like many other kids, our parents worked in one of the retail businesses on the ground floor, be it in electronics, fabrics, supermarkets, cafes, takeaways, clothing stores, and the list goes on. The retail component was really one of the magnetizing features of the space, as many shop owners from across the country came specifically to purchase goods and visit family in the buildings. People back then were more connected with each other. A real sense of community existed. I can't even account for the number of people who, even though unknown, would come home for a cup of tea or a meal. The building was very accommodating in this way. Previously, there was no accommodation for non-whites in Johannesburg. The owners of the building dedicated a floor to almost work as a hotel. Accommodation was free, and often buyers would sleep over on Tuesday nights and do their shopping on a Wednesday on the ground floor at the wholesalers. This was the seed into the diversity of people living and staying there. The building was not diverse in today's terms of diversity of race. Rather, it served as a little Indian village. By others, it is hard to view the diversity in a predominantly Indian populated building. However, if you take a closer look, you would notice Indians of different religions and cultures. Much like black South Africans today, each belonging to a different tribe or village, each speaking its own language or dialect. There is much diversity to be found in the same race. And these are the kids which I interacted with. The site is also home to a pre-primary and primary school, as well as an Islamic madrasa. Majority of the students who lived in the building were enrolled in these schools. We used to play soccer and cricket on the surrounding streets, sometimes in Library Park, and at night within the courtyards and passages of the building. Often our games would end when the call for the prayer went out. The space had a small mosque on the 5th floor, which we would use 5 times a day for prayers. There is a narrow passageway which connects the two ends of the building. The passages in the area around the lift lobby became a space of informal interaction between kids and adults alike. Your front door opened onto the passage, and many houses remained unlocked. There is no sense of threshold between public and semi-public space. The building actually functioned more as a large house, with each flat having the privacy of a room, and the front door being the lift door at every level. This is testament to the kind of community which made space into place. Today I walk through this space, almost as a stranger in my own home. As time ticked on, the family and friends I knew in the building have left. Very few remain. And as I sit with them and recount the good old days, what I have realized is that time is truly the master of space and place. If our aim is regenerative design, we need to broaden our concept of time. It's almost as if we have to design with the context of the future as now, so that we may enable regenerative design in the future.